Alright, hello Divine Feminines, how are you? Life is feeling pretty crazy hectic right now. Whatever, I'm not gonna do that. Okay. Let us get some animal signifiers and see how you're being represented right now. Frog and mouse. I have not been able to get like the energy, the time, and the space to sit down and do a reading like this. So probably I will get interrupted. Frog and cat. Oh, love it. I saw on my walk last night probably like 25 hummingbirds playing in this bush. It was so cute. We have the rhino again. I don't remember when that came up, but I do remember the significance of it. I think it was a private reading. And it says overcome any obstacle. And usually when that card comes out for me, it means you feel there are a lot of challenges. 3, 4, 2, 4, 6, 7, 5, 0. So we do have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 0. Be here now. Turn knowledge into wisdom. Bring your ideas to life. What do I feel like today? I think I feel like this one. I feel a little dramatic and a little gothic. You want to be seen? Alright, 5 of Wands. Not my favorite card. Let's see what we get here. Temperance and 8 of Cups. It has a balance sign on it. I will say in the last couple of readings I've done, Queen of Cups and Temperance, that Temperance energy has come up and the card itself has not. Queen of Cups. Sorry, is that not the Queen? No, I have to look. This is the deck that I thought it was either. This wasn't the deck that I wanted, but I love this deck. Okay. I think I thought the heart was the Queen, but then we have Earth Mother. Earth Mother might be Empress. I think it's the Queen. Anyway, let's see what we get. If I need to look it up, I will. Page of Swords, 5 of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, the Tower, the Fool, 3 of Pentacles, 6 of Cups. This is the card that I saw in my mind when I was asking what deck. 4 of Pentacles, so that's the Naked Heart, and then Strength reversed. The inner interior of the world, Spirit of Cups. I think that's King. Movement of Pentacles. The movement is the Knight. The Devil. The 6 of Wands. Really difficult energies here. Maybe they're having me use this deck to get me to see things in a different light, because I do feel that that electric eel is sort of important. I see there's water cards here. I see there's a message here that may change the trajectory of your life, honestly. With the Fool and Strength as the ending cards, I actually think that this has more to do with the family, but you can take it as it resonates. Queen of Swords, Indecision, Door to Personal Healing and Happiness, both reversed. 7th chakra, King of Pentacles, King of Cups. Oh man, for some of you, you might have a decision. I haven't had a reading like this in a while. This feels like very intense energy. It's a message that comes through. Can I know, please, more about what this message is and why it gets us overthinking and kind of trapped? Okay. There's something going on here. I'm going to try to be as cliche as I can be. It's interesting, though, because you have the Page of Swords and you have the Queen of Swords. And the Queen of Swords is falling in what I see as kind of the connecting or the action. And you may feel in a way like you're being mask. When I tell you that word is everywhere about everything, I am not kidding. You may feel like you are being kind of used, stalked, manipulated, gaslit, watched. You have the Tower twice. And sunglasses and the camera. I feel like you're like, no, I am not available for this. A lot of, oh my god, okay. I know they were like, you need to do a reading. And I was like, why is there so much pressure around this? It's because something's about to happen. Okay, so for some of you, not all, this may be an encounter or a meeting or a call, because I do see specifically date, which would be like a casual date, and call. Date is reversed, call is upright. Someone expresses love in a message of love, thinking of you and letting you know. It does feel like this is regarding a karmic energy. And I wouldn't be surprised from these cards, again we have the Six of Wands and the Six of Cups, if there wasn't some kind of, this is a very unusual message for me to come through. If it doesn't fit you, just move on. Like, it's okay, because I have to bring through what they're saying. Though I don't have strategy cards out here, I do not see this. Let me gather before I say anything. First of all, there are feelings here. And there does seem to be a real connection and a real sense of loss. And this person has a message and seems to be moving to you in an emotional manner. Now, that's where things get a bit tricky, get a little dicey, and I don't see everything I'd like to see in terms of positivity and intentionality being good. It's almost, the feeling that I get is almost like this situation has been suppressed for so long and gone unaddressed for so long that like the dam is going to burst, the lightning's going to strike. And okay, so it may or may not be him. I feel like it's 50-50, and that's almost never what I say. I think someone either could call you about him, or he calls you and pretends to talk about somebody else. And it's really fascinating because they're highlighting the eyes here. And I shared this video last night. I honestly didn't like, normally I see the videos I share a couple times because people comment and like and do whatever, and then it pops back up on my feed. And then here I didn't, and I kind of forgot about it till right now. And it was about like how much it was a fascinating like little snippet. It was about Kriya Yoga and how when you meditate and you learn to like go into the subconscious and clear the memories, we have this is what this was about. I'm not necessarily saying this is the ultimate truth, but she was talking about we have like thought forms in our subconscious that we're here to kind of work through, and it makes sense in the narratives that I've learned about how we kind of work. But that as you kind of clear these thought forms through meditation and learning to use your subconscious properly, I'll say it that way, more and more light shine through your eyes into the world. And that is kind of where she left it. And I want to, now that I've had a bit of time to like marinate on it, we always know that the sun is the truth in tarot, and the light is the truth, right? It's also vitality and a lot of other things. So when we can, a lot of people who talk about reality and the way that we interact with it, some people say, well, we are a projector and we are projecting like our consciousness onto like the screen of the 3D. And when you have more light coming through, which is what they're drawing my attention to, is that he has, see, this is so interesting, right? He has had an epiphany. Actually, it's more than that. It's not an epiphany because it's not in the conscious thoughts. He has had a subconscious, like, upgrade. And I actually think that's what this is. Like, there's really, really, really heavy cards on the bottom of the deck. And it's all wands and swords and the devil. And I actually think it's about let me just get it all the way. There's the 9 of Swords and then the 10 of Swords in reverse. The 6 of Wands. I think it was about how attached and trapped he was in fear, that he wasn't good enough, that he was like constantly seeking validation and approval. Those cards would kind of tell that story, right? The devil for me is always fear, but it can be, like all major arcana really, can be interpreted in many different ways. That's why the context of cards is so important, right? Here it's saying this kind of spiritual thinking, which I would say was the subconscious, right? Wands and swords, is about regarding attachment. And I feel like he understands how his heart being so covered, so cloaked, so disguised, so protected, was creating so much fear and so much, like, it was literally bringing to life what he didn't want. And I think that's this mask here. Now, it's interesting because the sunglasses, of course, if you wear them, not only do they cover the light going into your eyes, but they would also cover this light coming from you, the projection, right? A lot of people say, I love sunglasses, and I'm not reptilian, I'm Pleiadian, but a lot of people say, like, if people wear sunglasses, they're reptilians. That's not necessarily true, in my opinion, anyway. But there's a big feeling, and when I was sitting down and meditating and shuffling, what came through so much was this ungrounded energy. It feels a bit chaotic. It's very unlinear. It's a very void space. It's very feminine. It's very like something has disturbed the waters of the realm. That's how I felt it. Now, fascinatingly enough, this tower is a tree stump that is getting hit by lightning, on fire, and it's floating in the ocean. In a lot of ways, we can infer from that this particular destruction may go out very quickly, right? Because all it has to do is fall over into the water. It may be intense, and it may strike you when you feel vulnerable and unguarded. It may also strike you when someone has lured you into safety by saying something that is false. It may also strike you when you feel that something has completed in a way, or you're feeling particularly vulnerable because of the position you find yourself in. There's many scenarios right here. I'm going to say, I'm not really a scenario person, but I do want to say, like, look out for this. It's not to guard yourself more. Me personally, when cards are like this, and especially during Mercury retrograde, when anything feels even slightly off, I take an extra long time to think about it and mull it over. And even when I've made a decision, I go pretty slow, if I'm not triggered. And that seems to be the thought here, that if you get triggered, I would take your time thinking things through. Like, something happened to me the other day and it triggered me, and I rushed very quickly into action. And I sort of do regret it now, thinking about it. I'm like, oh, this happened. So what will come out of this is a new beginning. So let's find out more about that, because I'm not getting a super great sense on what this new beginning is. It sort of seems like the new beginning isn't entirely in your favor, but there could be something here about why Strength and this healing card are showing up in reverse. So interesting. We have peace. That word has been the word of the day for me. Hunger. And beginnings again. Darkness. Nourishment. Discernment. Beauty. Resistance. Fear. And surrender. And realization and power. Wow. So, very interestingly, you kind of go through this portal here. I have to say the next kind of major event I feel coming up is this Pisces eclipse, which will be kind of conjunct Saturn, and that may be a very difficult I don't know. It seems to affect the mutable signs more, but also all the cardinal signs will be dealing with Pluto and the South Node and Chiron. It's crazy town. You know, honestly, when astrology gets like this, we can have very, very big breakthroughs. But for the most part, I see them coming through internal work. And for me, retrograde often means that things are turned internally. Fear, surrender, realization, power, patience. It does kind of seem like you will have resistance to surrendering and overcoming these fears that you have. Again, we have a crow all like swarming around this cage, right? Inside you can see this person like head on kind of on the knee or the rock. And it is sort of a coming to just surrender, right? And surrender means you accept things totally as they are, right? Someone who's empowered and a leader tries to change what is through taking responsibility, and someone who's a victim tries to change what is by blaming others. And someone who is surrendered is just accepting what is. So that would be like the middle position. The end of a tough cycle approaches. You're very close to achieving your goal. Nothing is set in stone. Time to give rather than take. Time to take action. Show the world the real you. Be bold and make the first move. What do you need to release? Your dreams need a practical plan. We have don't let your past hold you back. The answers are coming. Your commitment's being tested. Meditate and surrender. A lot here about releasing negativity, overcoming fears, and practically taking action. And that means, I think in this case, especially aligned action, where your thoughts and your feelings and your paradigms are all matching up. So often we think one way and we feel another way, and we try to like take action despite our feelings or not, and it creates a very big mess. From these cards, I would suggest that you be in kind of a season of giving and not taking. And that what you're committed to is something you truly, truly believe in, that it's authentic to you, and that you can face sort of challenges and get through. Because I see that you may give up on something if it's too hard and there's not a big enough reason to do it. So I wish I kind of had better news here. This is a very challenging reading, and I don't feel like I've had one of those in a while. I would say from these cards alone, it benefits you not to be a victim, not to make it about how you feel, things have been unfair for you, not to focus on what you've lost, but to focus on I actually don't know. So let's find out. This one, like the focus for you could be here now, yin, new life, not for you. Yang, wow, we have a pair. Treasure Island, deep knowing, soulmates, and round with the Nautilus shell. So something here is trying to get your hidden gifts and talents and the balance of masculine and feminine to, it's such a weird energy. It's not like you're going to move to a new town and meet a bunch of new people and have a new job and then you'll be refreshed and, you know, and everything will be changed. This is about a new blueprint is going to lay over the top of your existing life. And you're going to find a much better balance for you. And it's not going to be about how can I strategically think myself into where I want to be. It's going to be like, this is the weirdest. It's really going to be like a window of your soul opens up. A window to your soul opens up, and your soul, your spirit, your authentic being, like, wants to be seen. Venus, love. Mercury, retrograde, reinvention. It's weird. Neptune, sacrifice. Void of course, moon missing. 8th house, endings, beginnings for the 3rd time. 9th house, faith. Jupiter, abundance. That's exactly what I was just gonna say. Fire element, desire. So there are some things that will fall by the wayside. Look at, we have the sun. 3rd house messages. Saturn, truth. Aries, I am. The more you tell the truth, the more you show the truth, the more you are your truth, the more reward you get in this cycle. That's what I'm getting. And obviously there's always, you know, if you go up to your grandmother and your grandmother's 95 and you tell her, you know, this isn't my truth, but let's say you live a very unconventional lifestyle in every way. It's just so I can show you an opposing, like, viewpoint. And you tell her, this is what I'm doing, this is who I am, you know, and she just doesn't understand. And she thinks you have gone, like, to a bad place and you are doing very badly, and you may feel more happy and free than you ever have in your life. You may be finally feeling like the world sees you and you are home. And there's a word coming out that's safety. That's very interesting, but I'll get to it in a second. That according to her values, she may not be able to like process having you in her life. This is an extreme example, obviously. She may, but you won't know until you are yourself and you express who you are, and she decides, and you have zero control over that. And one of the points of the spiritual journey is that people they talk about this all the time. They talk about how be prepared to lose people, but also be prepared to gain people that actually see you, and be prepared to feel like loved by yourself. And I think that's the biggest point that people miss, that maybe haven't actually gone through that. So yes, as a people pleaser wearing a mask, you can keep people in your life, but that will never feel very good. It will never feel very real. It will never be the type of relationship you long for. Now, some relationships cannot be sacrificed, right? Obviously, your kids cannot. And that may require like boundaries that you haven't set before or whatever. But that's not really what we're talking about here, because it's not what this is about. Like, spiritually, it's not relevant to your children, okay? If they're grown adults, it may be, it may be. Okay, so this is a difficult energy to get into words, because you're dealing directly like with the soul, with the spirit, with your, in my viewpoint, your joint being, your higher fused self, where you and your twin are one. And so is that those changes, right? Energy always flows in both directions. You're getting signs and synchronicities, and so is he, from your joint soul. And you're also constantly sending your feelings. All of your subconscious is hooked directly to your spirit. So you can tell what's a thought and what's a subconscious, like, download, intuition, in different ways for different people. It kind of depends on how you get your information. And then the more you open up to it, the more ways it generally comes. Some people never have all the ways, and some people do. And that's just the way it is. There's no better, there's no right, there's no wrong. I do a lot through my body. I have all the clairs, but clairvoyance is my weakest, along with smell. Those two are pretty tough for me, but they happen. And I'm more of a claircognizant, and that's a weird one, because it's just like the information is there. So they do want you to be aware that part of what's about to happen may be that you're triggered again, or triggered back into a situation you have really been trying to leave behind. For some, I think it has to do with family. I feel that really strongly. When you're dealing with non-spiritual family members, it doesn't really get all that much more triggering, except for like maybe authority figures or something like that. Like, non-spiritual family members can be very, very challenging to deal with. And they may not accept your truth, and they may only accept their truth, which may be very, very ego-centered. And I feel in some ways, so they keep bringing up that in ways you have felt like your twin was almost like that. Like, this is the weirdest thing. I feel like for some of you, you've been like, I don't know, as I haven't seen this in any private readings or anything, but like, some of you, it may be like, he's as bad as the rest of them, and he's like hurting me too, and some things like this. And it could be, I might be misinterpreting it a little bit, that he's been talking to people in his circle, or your circle, or an overlap circle, or your family, or people at your work, however that it fits into your life. And they may have been saying things like that you wanted them to think, or they may just be saying things like their interpretation, and that may have triggered him, and so he may kind of come at you a little bit up like that, like, why are you doing so good without me? Or I see you, you're thriving, and I am like in this horrible place, and like you don't care about me. There's there's a very many scenarios that could come. I feel he's not super tapped into his intuition because of whatever he's going through, but spirit and angels and guides and your higher self and his, soul is really working with him to try to, like, they just show me opening his eyes and putting light through so he can see more. Like, part of the problem is like half the time he has his eyes closed to everything. And whereas I think you have gotten to this place, it's more of an eyes open place. And whatever's happening is getting that to happen even more. Like, there are things I feel like you can't ignore. I'm getting lost in the memories, yes. And he closes his eyes to remember the past. You drive me crazy. This is the second not now card. I'm not ready. We have so much in common in reverse. I'm thinking of forever. That's been coming through a lot. I feel stuck. I'm scared you're moving on. And I feel there's too much competition. That I'm scared you're moving on, and I hope you're not with someone else. Why did you leave? I effed up. Those are these cards that are coming from whatever he's hearing or seeing that's making him think you're just fine without him. Like, I feel like he thinks you've walked through to this, like, nirvana, and you're like, no, I haven't, but I'm visualizing it, and I'm not complaining anymore, and I'm not playing the victim anymore, and people might think that I'm really happy because that's where I'm going in my life. You may have gotten a lot better at visualization, and you may have stopped complaining, because that's what this feels like a bit. Even though, like, sometimes when we're up, like when I went on through yesterday, I don't know if I posted that video, I think I did. It's like, when we ascend higher, we also grow roots deeper. And if we don't, the tree falls over, right? Well, this card is really, really jumping out at me. I feel like some of you may want, like, a new style, a new hairstyle, a new, like, because this one too has these kind of black and white wings. I have been getting strength a lot, but it has been Leo season. So I'm hoping to get more of an answer because I don't feel like I've gotten an answer yet, but let's see what we get here. I might do another deck. I just saw the don't dim your light to fit it. Oh, I love this card. You know, the beluga whale is so special. Keepers of the earth. Align your life. That comes in that position all the time. Dance. I'm Roma. You're already doing it. Star Mother. Awakening. Yeah, I feel like you're both having a big awakening again, more. I mean, it doesn't really stop, but I feel like they do it and then they let you rest and integrate for a while. And by they, I really mean like your higher self and your assistants. So when I said in the beginning that I felt like there was an ungrounded energy, this is what I mean. I feel like you kind of don't know which way is up and which way is down. And it's like being underwater, but it's also like floating in the sky, right? So in this kind of transformation or reinvention or makeover or glow up, whatever it is that you want or don't want, whatever, it's up to you. If you want it, right? This is very interesting advice. They're saying like they want you to look at yourself through the eyes of your twin, and that you can actually go into the eyes of your twin and do it and try to see yourself. See the amount of love that they have for you and feel it. But also, and I don't want this to be triggering to you because it's a bit triggering to me, see where for them you're still, even though you may be like, I am not doing that, but energetically they can see where you're seeking their validation, their attention, their approval, or their love, whatever. That is what like holds you two apart. And it's like, if you do this like in the bathtub or wherever you like to like meditate in silence, like you need to not be in front of a TV or listening to something. It's like, let their love for you just permeate all of the layers. And they're saying like if you want to listen to like frequencies or that kind of thing, that can be okay. Or like a float tank would be good, a bathtub, outside at night if that's safe. Just somewhere where you can go in all the way inside and like not have too much tethering you to the outside. And just, first of all, go into through their eyes and like just see and feel all of the love that they have for you in like this huge pink cloud. God, what is it they're showing me? I guess like this. I guess we have this card. I think there's another card too. So in this huge like pink cloud, just literally like let yourself marinate, let yourself feel like in your aura, in your mind, in your subconscious, in your heart, in your body, like feel it all just super, super strong. There's like that, what I felt like that open window was like open the window to your soul, open the window to your heart, and just like let the love just pour in. Now, see and feel if there's anywhere that triggers you, because that's a really, really great practice to integrate those triggers and do your shadow work around it. If you feel like you're less than, like, let's say you're like, he would never feel that way about my body, or he would never feel that way about my mind. He would never feel that way. Like anything that comes up as resistance, that's a place for you to do your shadow work around. And then look through his eyes and see you will see them as like they're saying little pieces, little like cubes of yellow, if you can see them like energy, or you'll feel them as like little pangs of like, it's almost like jealousy, but it's like a pushing you away. It's like a barb. It's like a prick, and like it's repelling to him. Is that the right word? What do you call it when you push away? It pushes him away, whatever it is. Yeah, repelling. It's repelling, yeah. And the parts of you that feel like smooth and cool and almost like water, but very placid, are very like attractive. And I don't know why it's described like that, but that's why they're describing it. And you can also do this exercise. It sounds crazy. It's too much. You can do it as him looking through your eyes. I know that sounds crazy. But you can if you want to. And remember, whenever you're in his energy field, you are like basically pushing him away. But we're doing it in this scenario to trigger ourselves. Like this, I want to be really clear with you that you're triggering yourself in this process, and that's intentional. So don't do it if you're already in a pretty vulnerable spot, because it will make it worse. Unless you think you can handle it. You know, you've got to do a fair amount of shadow work to get comfortable with it. And even then, it's, at least not for me, it's challenging. So we have healer, expansion, gorgeous, innocence. And that is another thing they're bringing up. It's like the eyes of innocence, the eyes of friendship, the eyes of partnership, and like the eyes of spirit or God or whatever you call it. It's, you can do that with those eyes too, right? You can always do that through spirit's eyes too. And you might notice something really, really strange while you're doing it, and that like time may really, really slow down for you to the point of like almost feeling like it's going backwards, or something weird might happen with the clock, or you may go into a memory. Like you may look through his eyes, find those like a yellow block, and like go into it, and that may like, you may feel when you go into it, like let's say you go into, you find a yellow block on your rib cage, and you ask to be shown what's in there, and you see a memory from your childhood, and you go through the memory, and you have spirit take you through the memory, and then you also go through this is amazing coaching, thank you spirit, you go through every time that memory was something that directed your action in life, and you see how that one memory pulled you so far down a road of fear. This is what the original reading is about. You're gonna go down that road and see every, like, I'm gonna call it a side quest, but like every little side path you took to avoid what the original belief is. It's crazy too. They're like, they keep highlighting this. They're like, this. It says learning on it. And it's not yellow, but it's close enough. This is crazy. If you do this, will you please comment or come back to it and tell me how it goes? I'm going to try, but this sounds so incredibly intense. I think it's really going to help. But so you can like shift every single one of those back to love. Like every single one, you can shift it back to love. And this exercise really is seeing yourself through love. So let's say like this little block is about your mom told you, like, why weren't you more like your sister? Your sister always makes good decisions and you make horrible decisions. And she gave you, obviously you had just done something. This is just an example out of thin air. It's not my example. And every time, and she got really, really angry at you. And so you basically stopped making your own decisions, right? This is people pleasing, right? You didn't want to make her mad. You wanted to be good. You wanted to be good. Not even good like your sister. You wanted to be good like yourself. But your sister got brought into the mix, you know? And so every time a big decision came up, you doubted that you could make a good decision. And what did you do? You might have made a terrible decision because you literally had been programmed that you were bad at decisions and that the decisions that you did make were going to make people really angry, like authentic decisions. Now, there's so many layers when you start working with the subconscious. You can generally get down to one thing and one incident that created that like chain of side paths, chain of bad events. And it doesn't have to be bad, but the reason you're holding on to that thing is that in your subconscious you believed that you were bad for doing what you did, and that made you a bad person, and that you were unlovable. And that's what parts therapy is about. Working with the subconscious, with hypnosis, EMDR, anything like that, theta. You know, the worst scenario is kind of talk therapy generally for these type of things, where we go over and over and over again and we try to reason it out with our logical mind, because it reinforces the problem usually. Now, I'm not a therapist and I'm not against therapy either. So I think therapy can be extremely beneficial and helpful, if only to bring you more self-awareness of how powerful you actually are, and that you do matter, and you are directing this show, right? And you are the one that this is all about. It's not about your mom or your twin or anybody else. It's about you. And so we're gonna get I feel like that is one of the most amazing exercises I have ever heard from Spirit. And you know, if you guys want me to do more about it, if you like want me to do like a little training or something video, I can do that. Because when I say things like, well, you can just shift it back to love, how you do that is with your inner child and in your heart, right? Your inner child is still holding on to all of those hurts, and energetically, when your twin triggers them, it pushes him away, because you're seeking the love, approval, everything that you didn't get. And he's trying to help you heal from these things. That's the actual like reason your souls are doing this work here together for your ascension, in my opinion. Okay. Okay, so let's get some advice. I'm not going to ask for more because I think that was a beautiful, beautiful answer. But I will say, in the very beginning, I feel there's a message. It isn't necessarily full communication. Kuan Yin and Aphrodite, a message or something you see that you're meant to be seen. Like it's there on purpose. This isn't accidental. That is triggering. And I don't necessarily, I think the intention behind it may be to get some sort of reaction out of you in terms of movement. Wow, we have really, really beautiful cards. Isolt, undying love. The love you have shared is eternal, regardless of the situation. Ryanong. I know that's not how you say it, but you are a magical person who can manifest your clear intentions into reality. Artemis, guardian, you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. Sedna, infinite supply, you are supplied for today and all of your tomorrows. Athena, inner wisdom, with her owl, who I love. You know what to do, trust your inner wisdom, and take appropriate action without delay. Mother Mary, expect a miracle. Have faith that your prayers have been heard and are being answered. And so, you know, when we want to feel better, it isn't necessarily that the Spirit takes all of our cares and worries away, but makes us into a person that can handle more things and feel, you know, whose happiness isn't necessarily dependent on there being no problems, because that's never how it will be. There's sometimes less, sometimes more, and they're always serving us to become wiser. Ruby, Boji Stone, Pyromorphite, Agate, Stibnite, yeah, that makes sense, Aquamarine, and then we have the Soul Crystals, Master Teacher, Lovers. So, Rhodochrosite, Acceptance. I do think this is about you. These are, the bottoms of the decks of this reading have been really interesting. So we do have the Ancient Master Teacher card, Ancient Wisdom Crystal, Pink Tourmaline, Forgiveness, Citrine, Abundance, and Rhodochrosite, Acceptance. And I think it is through accepting, like, your whole self and all of these, like, we strongly resist when we're triggered. We defend, right? We're like, I'll just take me, because one of my biggest things is, and I've talked openly about this for a long time, is like my parents were extreme neat freaks, and then like I wanted to be extremely creative, and I couldn't be that way. And every time I was that way, I got called messy, and it became this thing in my head where I created mess wherever I went, because I wanted, like, that part of me, I wanted to accept that part of me. And I had partners that couldn't accept it either, just like my parents. And once I accepted it, like, I'm in process, but I would say I'm probably 90% processed. It's that you don't have to defend it anymore. You can just be like, yep, I am messy. And also, it's like the need to do that thing that's negative. I don't know really how to explain it, because I don't have a problem. If I make a mess, it's fine for me. But it's like, I don't feel the compulsive need to do it like I used to. And it all shifted so much. And the stuff became much healthier. And I'll just get a couple of these. So we also got Shine, Balance, Patience, Creativity, Conflict, Communication, and Lovers. So, Secret Admirer, someone has deeper feelings for you than they are letting on. My beloved, though we may be physically apart, spiritually we are always united. Where love transcends space and time, nothing is missing. And when it comes to matters of the heart, there's no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you for listening. That was a very long and intense reading, and I hope it brought you some clarity and peace into your heart. Bye for now.